Welcome to Afterthoughts with Erica. My name is Erica O'Meara, and as I begin my journey to becoming an end-of-life doula, I'm challenging myself to talk to 100 people about death, dying, and what comes next. Join me as we explore these stories and work together to make the topic of death less uncomfortable, one conversation at a time. Afterthoughts with Erica is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely of the speakers and do not represent legal, medical, or financial advice. This series does not supersede any written last will and testament, legal documents, or directives. Please note that this series may contain adult subject matter and with strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Afterthoughts with Erica. Today, I am joined by one of my dearest friends. Kyle and I have been friends. It's close to 20 years at this point.
It's definitely close to 20 years. Yeah.
We started in the corporate world together, and we both left the corporate world to pursue more holistic ventures. And we've just been sort of connected ever since then. Kyle, my best word for it is that you're a guide. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that I know for me personally, and the people that, you've talked to over the years, you just have this great intuitive um, quality to you. And you
Thank
are
you.
a wonderful sounding board, at least for me in my life. And I'm so thankful that you came on today. I really am. I think this is
Oh,
going to be a
thank
great
you.
conversation.
It's an honor to be here. I'm so proud of you for all of the stuff that you have done in this life that's like real human things. Like when we disband from corporate, it's like, oh my God, there's this whole life outside of this fishbowl. And you aren't afraid to really just kind of tap into these things and explore them. And I mean, you just have such a beautiful healing energy. So thank you for inviting me and for doing this.
Of course, thank you.
So I love that you call me a guide. And really, as humans, I think that's what we all are to one another. With our relationships, we're reflecting our own shit onto one another, and it's part of our whole soul evolution and experience in this whole journey. And guide is really a great word that I love personally because I love to teach people. As you said, I love to be a sounding board. My really true goal, if I was going to put it very simply, is I just want everybody to thrive and do what they came here to do and do the best they can at it. So I show up however I need to. I'm an intuitive coach. I'm a medium. I'm a project manager. I'm a partner. I'm all of these things into this human body, and I do my best to show up where I'm most needed. So, um, guide is a great word. So I like that.
Well, you're needed here, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I know you and I have discussed death before,
Mhm.
but I don't think in this capacity. So
Yeah.
I am really looking forward to asking you these questions. So let's get going.
Yeah. Let's do it.
The first question is probably the most important question is, are you afraid of dying?
No. No. Um, and I answer that very quickly and very confidently. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a medium. I know that this earth journey is just one little snippet of the soul's journey. So the word death is really kind of funny in a way, when you think about it, because yeah, you use this beautiful body that you created when you incarnated here, and you live this earth journey through that body. And then when you're done with this journey, then you're saying, okay, I'm ready to exit. So I would say, am I afraid of dying? No, because I know that there's much more beyond this. I am a believer that our soul will basically tell us when it's time to zoom up out of here, out of this planet and out of this body. And, I think that that's important to be mindful of too, because we came here with a soul contract. We came here with a purpose. And I think more often than not, from the people that I have talked to, the common denominator is I think people are afraid of living more than they're afraid of death. I think they look maybe at death is a way of getting out of pain or getting out of, a circumstance, but I think that there is an importance to look at the importance of living. And I would say, am I ready to go now? Hell no, I didn't come here to do everything that I came here to do. So, but I trust my soul's guidance on that. And so when the time is right, the time is right.
Okay. Is there a death that profoundly changed the way that you view death and dying?
Oh, definitely. Um, so when we were working together, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer not long after I started working at the company we worked together in. And so at that time, that was 2003, she was given 3 to 6 months to live. So that was like the whole I just got this great new job, and then all of a sudden, like my world came crashing down. I had a wonderful relationship with my parents, my family, and that was, just like shattering to me to hear that diagnosis. I came home from work and, they told me the diagnosis from the doctor. I will say that in a little sidebar note to that, I told my dad to never tell my mom what that diagnosis was as far as the 3 to 6 months to live. And he really honored that very well. And my mother never knew that. She just thought she was on a healing journey. She never knew that. And so 4 years later, it was November of 2007. I got a call from my mom that they had to take my dad to the hospital. And so my dad actually dropped dead of a heart attack in our backyard. And that was like a complete shock because here our whole family was really focusing on the health and well-being of my mom, and she was doing very well as a stage 4 cancer patient 4 years after her diagnosis. And it was just one of these things. It was kind of awakening. It's like, wow, we were so focused on mom, and dad was kind of the glue that held everything together. He was taking her to the doctor's appointments, doing, a lot of things around the house and stuff. And so that was kind of a shock, but it was also the awareness of like, pay attention on the things that are going on around you. And, you know, life can just shift when you least expect it. And so when dad passed away, none of us we were all just expecting that mom was going to be the first to go of our parents just because of her medical situation, and that was a shock. But my dad, he just was very spiritual. He was a Virgo like you are, Erica, but he was very much the foundation in the background, just quiet. He let my mom have the front and center stage, but he was like this foundational figure and rock for our family. And so he, he watched John Edwards crossing over. I knew that he embraced life after death. And I knew that he was okay wherever he was because in that moment, everything's just kind of swirling. And then we're like, what are we going to do? It's like this shock. And so I guess that was the first, and when you lose a family member or, someone that you're very close to, it is a shock. And so then my mom ended up passing 3 years later after that in 2010. And that was I, I, I don't like to use the word predictable death, but I mean, she was dealing with a terminal illness. And so I dealt with both a very unexpected shock. My dad was only 71 when he passed away, which is young in today's day and age. And then my mom passed 3 years later, and that was both had their blessings. but both of them were profound to me. And yeah, I held my mom's hand when she passed away, when she crossed over. So that was a beautiful gift. The person that brought me into this world, I was able to say goodbye as her soul left the body. And so after that, wasn't long after that, and you know this, Erica, but I went on to study funeral directing after that because I was just so affected by this that it was such a beautiful process. I think that death becomes one of these terms, it's almost like taboo because, like your first question, it's like, are you afraid of it? And I think that the fear of death is like a motivator to live. And so when you start looking at these things, to me, I was looking, it's like, oh my God, people aren't really celebrating the life of their loved ones. They're more focused on the void. And so I was motivated to be a funeral director. And so I was going to school full time, working full time. I ended up not doing it, long story short, because I didn't want to be on call 24/7. But it did pushed me into the direction of being more of an intuitive guide and medium because really when we're left with that void of losing someone, it's the survivors that need the encouragement, that need the healing to move on with their life. So that's and then my brother passed away not that long ago either. So I've lost my mother, my father, my oldest brother. So I have experienced death from very close people to my heart. So,
Well, I love that you took the that calling, even though you decided ultimately that it wasn't right. Um, I think that's the same way that I feel about being an end of life doula. Like seeing my massage clients that are going through terminal illnesses, um, dealing with sickness in my own family. Um, I get that. I
mhm,
understand that like you've experienced something and now you want to delve into it more.
mhm.
Even though it's something sad, it's
Yeah,
um it it drives you.
it does. It does because we have this beautiful spark within us that connects us all together. And we really don't want to see anybody else in pain. And so, when we're looking at it, it's like, how can I be proactive and be there to be of service to others? And eventually all roads lead to home. You have to try things out. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And, you know,
That's right.
you
That's
find your
like I
way.
say, throw a lot of darts,
Yep.
see what lands.
Eventually you'll get one in the right spot.
Now I know the answer to this question, but our viewers don't. Do you believe in the afterlife?
Absolutely. Yeah, hands down. And I would be hard pressed. I know that there are those skeptics out there, but I would be hard pressed to, really believe that anyone doesn't have some kind of awareness of life after death. I mean, there's memories within us that like we can go to a place and it can be very familiar to us. We can, run into a complete stranger on the street and like you're familiar. And to me, that's validation that we've had past journeys in those places or with those people. And we kind of go through a mind eraser when we incarnate here, but at the same rate, there's definitely an energetic synchronicity with some of those things. And so if you don't believe that life goes on after death, then how do you explain those familiarities in your current life journey? And so yeah, absolutely. And when someone does transition, there's definitely symbols and signs around, and those are there for you to remind you as the survivor that you're still living and they're there supporting you. They're actually right there. But when we transition, the physical plane is the densest plane. And so when we lose this body, that's what anchors us in this dense plane. So when the soul shifts out of the body, it's a different frequency. It's a different, so you can't Some people can see. I've been able to see some, but not, as much as some other mediums can see. But you are start your attunement to those frequencies is how you start navigating. So as a medium anyways. And I don't want to go on to that tangent, but you will see these symbols and stuff. They're by you, they're with you all the time. And just because you can't see it, feel it, touch it, doesn't mean it's not there. But you can feel it. You can see in dreams. There's hummingbirds coming around. There's cardinals coming around. There's like repetitive symbols, and it's like, why does this keep happening? So definitely, we're being validated and reminded all the time that our loved ones are actually there supporting us from the other side, or a different
That's
frequency, however you want to look at it.
I totally agree with you on that. I have my own, you have your own,
Yeah,
we've talked about them.
yeah.
So yeah, I love it. Um, if you could have an ideal death, what would that look like?
An ideal death. You mean like an exit point?
Yeah.
Um,
What would your ideal exit point be?
you know, I would say something clean. Like I don't want to leave a mess for anybody. So, like if I get blasted out of here on a bolt of lightning or something, it's like boom, good, out of here. It's like my I laugh at that because like I don't like I love this body. I love my body. I don't want that like destroyed in like a car accident or something like that. But it's one of these things that I I want to I want to shift out of here doing knowing that I did what I loved to do and you know just having a great day. Surprise, I'm out.
Something quick and then surprise.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because I think, on a certain level, I think the soul knows kind of the general idea of what our exit points are because we have a lot of them throughout our life. And once you get to a certain point, it's like, okay, yeah, enough is enough here. I did what I came here to do, and I'm out of here, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but it just ideally, it's like, yeah, it's something that doesn't make a mess for somebody else to clean up.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um, if you could bring one thing with you in death, what do you think it would be?
it's something I know that we always bring with us, the wisdom and the experience that we came here to get. And that's not necessarily a tangible thing, but it's soul expansion. It's expanding our consciousness. And I know that we all take that with us. So, that's the only thing that I really can take because what else is there?
Yeah, that's true. Um, how do you want your funeral to play out?
Oh, a celebration of life, hands down. Martinis, cocktails, like, yeah, like party it up.
Should
Just
we get
do
dressed up?
whatever you want. If there can be multiple. So I know that this is a future question, but like I want my ashes sprinkled over Maui. So that's
Uh-huh.
that's my favorite place in the world. And so if you all want to have a destination beach party in Maui, fantastic. Um, but yeah, I am really great with whatever my survivors need. And I would encourage them to have a celebration of life for me versus a mourning period of experiencing a void and what are we going to do without Kyle? Like, celebrate me. That's what I'm going to do for everybody that I experienced their transition. I'm going to celebrate them because what a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like a graduation. You're,
Agree. Yeah, you're just moving on to the next stage.
yeah. How can you not celebrate that?
Yeah. And what a beautiful life that you had the whole time, you know?
Yeah. So good music, good cocktails, just bring your fun. Be fabulous.
Done.
You know how to rock it. You can even be Mrs. Roper if you want. Do whatever you want to do.
I'll come fully dressed up as Mrs. Roper
Fantastic.
with the yacht rock. I'll bring the yacht rock with me.
Right. And all my loved ones from the other side do the same,
Yeah,
Party it up.
I love it. So, on that line, what would some of the songs in your funeral playlist be?
This is an interesting one because I will tell people this in my sessions with people. Be mindful of energy because a song can just shift you from one emotional state to another very quickly. And so I did write a few of these down because it's interesting. When my mom passed away, I was I really was more planning a celebration of life. My dad was very unexpected, so it was like, okay. And so then when my brother passed away, um, that was just a few years ago, so we had more technological uh, luxuries that we could do slideshows and we could do playlists and stuff like that. We didn't have Spotify when my mom passed away. Um, so anyways, for my brother Rick, I played all of his favorite music and we played it loud when we did the celebration of life. And so I did write down some songs. So like one of my very favorite songs, and if I ever have like a stage show or a talk show or something like that, like Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship is like I would say like my anthem. I love that song because it's about coming together and having fun and saying fuck you to the naysayers and just living your life and living it well. So that one definitely has to be there. One Republic, their songs, Good Life and I Lived would totally have to be on that playlist. Too Much Heaven will go a little flashback to the Bee Gees. Why not? Right? So, uh,
I will never say no to the Bee Gees.
right. I mean, like, you can't go wrong with those. And then this one I played at my brother's, and when I was preparing for these questions, I didn't really want to like prepare too much for these questions, but this one I did because I'm not really good with artist names, so I had to write it down. So Put a Little Love in Your Heart is an Al Green and Annie Lennox song. And I think that message is a good reminder because when you're going through a loss of someone or something, you got to remember, don't deplete yourself. Like keep filling your cup up with love. And that one is one of those. It's kind of like the little reminder. Practice what I preach.
Absolutely. You
Absolutely.
wanted to have your ashes spread. What's the thought behind that?
Behind cremation or the destination?
Both. Yeah.
So as far as cremation, there is like, so I love our Earth, and I just don't think that these bodies need to be planted in the Earth and taking up space. Um, I also think it's a considerable expense to put, a concrete or granite vault down into the earth and a metal casket or a wood casket or whatever it is. Um, you know, the earth should be used for the resources that we need, whether it's growing food or housing, whatever, So I just think it's cleaner. Cremation is cleaner. It's easier. If somebody wants to have a locket with my ashes in them, they can do that. If they want to sprinkle me around some of my other favorite places, take me to London, whatever you want to do. Again, I think that what we leave behind is for our survivors to do whatever they need to do for their healing journey. And so Maui is just one of these magical places where I personally have just had really amazing experiences there, and I feel so alive and so connected to the earth and to nature when I'm there. And that's kind of why I want to just float free there. And so so the other cool thing is there have been, and anybody can look this up, but when you put cremains under a microscope, it actually looks like stardust. It looks like crystals. And it's this really amazing thing. And I shared that with my niece when my brother passed away because he was cremated. And it's just kind of one of these things because we forget actually how magical we are because we look at flesh and everything and the face and all this other stuff. But inside we're like these magical particles of crystal and sparkles. And so, you know,
We're all made of stardust,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So yeah, so that's my wish for cremation.
Okay. This one's more of like a silly question to keep
Mhm.
the mood light. But if you could haunt somebody after death, who would you haunt? And I'm prefacing this with it can be naughty haunting or it can be nice haunting. It doesn't, you can choose. And it doesn't have to be anybody in particular, but just something fun.
So it's funny because my brother who passed away was kind of a prankster. And, I know that there are things that around me that are messages from him that are kind of like jokes. And so if I were to do that, it would be whoever is still embodied here when I exit. But I just like little loving pranks would be, like little goofy things, like maybe knocking a glass over. But I do also know that it takes an incredible amount of energy for a spirit to make those things happen. And so if there's better things for me to be doing, I'm just gonna say, yeah, peace out, y'all. I'm here if you need me. But yeah, I would do things that would be out of love, not naughty.
I could see you getting a little mischievous in the afterlife too,
Sure.
just to have a laugh.
Well, yeah, you gotta,
Like you said, as long as it makes the other person smile.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just one of these things that remind remind them that they're of your essence.
Yes,
And that's what I do here. You gotta have fun.
absolutely.
You gotta have fun.
So we're at our final question,
Mhm.
and this one is a more serious one. What would you want people to remember you for after death?
That is it's a wonderful question, really. And I think I, as a general rule of thumb for me, always want to leave things better than I came with them. So like if I met somebody, I really hope that they feel better after I talk with them. Or so for my memory, I feel that people are going to say they love the light that I brought into this world. Um, they, I love to have a good time, so I hope people remember me for my fun, my wit, my candor, my advice, my cooking. I love to cook. So I love to be creative. So that would be what I would say at this point in my life. I have dreams of what I want to continue to create from this point in my life. And maybe there's some really monumental things that maybe I'll write a book, maybe I'll have a podcast or something that is like mind blowing. Um, Maybe those are some things that people really got some great wisdom and help them move forward with their lives. I mean, really, what I want, as I said before, is for people to thrive in this world. So if I can bring that light and bring that energy, I've done my job.
It's a wonderful answer.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like I have gotten to know you like another little layer of you today, which is
Yeah.
interesting because we've been friends for so long. Um, but these aren't the kind of conversations that we have all the time with people.
No,
So,
it's not. And thank you for inviting me and thank you for doing this because I think this is a beautiful service that you are going to be offering to this world. It's not one for the faint of heart, but it is one, I think the more we talk about taboo subjects like death, the more natural it is instead of don't ask, don't tell, don't talk about it kind of thing. And I love that you are, I mean, even if people aren't a guest on your show, think about these questions. I think these are really great questions to ask. If somebody doesn't want to go public with them and answer them, at least have these conversations with your family, with your loved ones, with your partners. Like, why not? These are people
yeah,
that are your circle. These are your soul family. Have these conversations just so you know. Life takes unexpected twists and turns. And there, as we know, there's really no promise of tomorrow to anyone. So if you live each day to the best you can, then you're doing a great job.
yep.
So I
And
love that you're doing this.
we are all connected in death.
We are.
So
Yeah,
why not
for
talk
sure.
about it?
Right. I mean, because the other thing is, and I didn't really hit on this too much, but you did through your questions. When we exit, we are the reviewer of our life journey and our path. And so when you look back at that, you have the power in the now to, if you have someone to make amends with or something to correct that you created in this life or whatever, do it, clean it up. Don't live with that stress. I mean, don't be afraid to live because you're going to look at back in your life and you're going to say, man, I did really great at this and I did really great at that. I was like, oh, that one wasn't so good. I should have cleaned that one up. So you're going to go through that life review. So I would say be proud of, do whatever you're going to need to do to make you proud of your life review.
Very good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Oh, thank you.
It
I
was so
love
good
you.
seeing you.
It's good to see you too.
If you haven't answered the 10 questions yet, please consider signing up to be part of this important conversation. Let's continue breaking the silence together. See you next time.